Hello everyone and welcome to the Foxworthy Supply booth here at Global Dairy Expo 2020. My name is Gail Foxworthy, and in a minute I'll be telling you about our products, but before I do that I want to say a big thank you to all the attendees. You know, we're all making history together here. I can remember the first trade show I ever did was in 1981, and I never thought I'd be doing a virtual trade show, but here we are. And I got a sneaking feeling this might become the norm, not the exception. So, again, thank you for attending. So, what I want to show you now is our two products that we make for the dairy industry in the bedding systems business. The thing we try to do, of course, is make your cows happy and improve your bottom line. The first product I want to show you is our foam mat. And this has been out for 20 years now. And it's designed for concrete-based free stalls. The dimensions, just so you know, are 48 inches wide by 64 inches in length by 3 inches in thickness. And the mat itself is made up of microscopic air cells. And this is important because you can float down the river on these. They're impervious to liquids. And unlike our competition who has to wrap their foam in plastic, we don't. And we don't want to have problems in the barn where there's condensation on the platforms, or the humidity change in the barn, or probably wouldn't be a problem, but leaky milk or urine. We don't want any liquids getting into the mattress. So that's a story on the foam mat itself. The next component to the foam mat bedding system is our waterproof top cover. And one of the values we add to this is the fact that it's not abrasive. You can rub your knuckles on it and it doesn't hurt your knuckles. Because, you know, when a cow gets up, or gets down, if you watch the cow in slow motion, when she hits the surface of whatever she's laying on, she slides a little bit. And we certainly don't want knee or hock damage, so that reduces, or almost eliminates that problem. You all know that lying time and stall usage are very important. The University of Wisconsin did a study, and we partook in that study. There was 12 mattress systems from around the world and sand in the barn. That was up at University of Wisconsin, the Arlington campus. And that was a 6-month trial. After the 6 months, we all got our results, and we were very pleased because next to sand, the foam mat came out #1 for stall usage and lying time. So with the 3 inches of foam, in over 20 years now, we know we give cows great comfort and great traction when they get up and down in the stalls. So we've been marketing the foam mat, again, the bedding system, since the year 2000. And we figure based on 20 years of history, we've got a life expectancy in the free stalls of about 10 years. We tell everybody that right up front. Nothing lasts forever, except concrete maybe. So cow comfort, you know, that's a phrase we've heard so many times. We hear that phrase all the time in the dairy industry, but it is a very important issue. Cow comfort or human comfort, it doesn't make any difference. If we don't feel good, it's hard for us to do a good job. The same with a cow. If she doesn't feel good, she won't do what she does, and that's make milk. So I will give you a quick comment I'd like to read here from one of our foam mat customers. This gentleman is in Rush City, Minnesota. His name is John Moulton Dairy. He says, our cows like the foam mat just as good as sand. And we have both types of bedding in the same pen. We also observed a definite drop in hoof issues after installing the foam mat. John has 8 Lely robots, and he is converting his freestall barn from sand bedding to the foam mats. And I asked him why, and he says, you know, I got my own sand pit, but he feels the sand is too hard on his robots, and he doesn't want to deal with it in his lagoon. So that's John's feeling on the foam mats. So briefly, I guess that's the story on the foam mat. And the second product I want to talk to you about today is for all your dairies using sand for bedding out there. You know, we sold sand savers for a lot of years, and we ended up with a lot of unhappy customers. The product just wouldn't hold up under the cow. It's pretty harsh environment. So we designed our own mat, and we incorporated some features that we thought would improve the performance, and we started manufacturing this product, the Bedding Saver mat, in February 2014. So I feel, after that much time, I feel we've got the very best sand-saving product on the market, and I'll tell you why. When we designed it we took into account design and durability. Also, this is important to me, I think it is to you guys too, our mats are made from reclaimed rubber. So from an environmental aspect, we'll talk about that a little later. What I want to talk about first is, I call it a very cow-friendly design. When you look at our Bedding Saver holes, I don't know if you can see those very good, but they're smooth, and they're beveled, and they're round. They're not square. And they taper down so liquids can move. It's a smooth wall. It's not a textured wall at all. And liquids can move down, like, you know, urine and milk and whatever. And because they're not a square, sharp opening like some products, there's no teat, knee, or hot damage. And like I said, the smooth walls allow liquids to move away from the surface. And we like to have a permeable aggregate below, preferably sand or, say, a gravel or something like that. And that will help keep the bed dry. It'll drain quickly. And like I said earlier, the walls are tapered down. And the one reason I did that is, when you fill these with sand, we're 2.5 inches on the top and we're 2 inches on the bottom. And by the way, we got little legs under here too. I don't know if you can see those. They're 1/4 inch legs. If you'd ever put this on concrete where you'd want water to move underneath, it is elevated. But anyway, we're down to 2 inches on the bottom here, and that creates a downward dynamic to keep the mat in place, so it won't float up. Sometimes the old car tires or some mats, they want to float up. And then we also added value to the perimeter of the Bedding Saver mat. It's designed so it will interlock in any configuration you want without the use of any tools or fasteners for the cow to step on and break, like zip ties, for an example. So this design makes, and this is important, this design makes the installation super simple, and it's a do-it-yourself install. Now I want to talk about sand a minute here. Sand is probably the most preferred bedding by cows, but as you know, it's also one of the most problematic. Sand is hard on everything, and quite often you fill your beds in the morning and that sand's in a lagoon. Half of it's in a lagoon that night, it seems like. And that's especially when it's hot and the flies are bad. Those cows, they just love to dig. You know, I've always said that people buy for 2 reasons. Good feelings about who they're dealing with, and solutions to their problems. Here's your solution, the Bedding Saver mat. Now you're going to hear me repeat this 2 or 3 times in this presentation, but it's important. You can reduce your sand usage by approximately 50%. The beds stay drier and they stay level. And when they're drier, or when they're level, it's easier for cows to get up and down in the stall. We've had the mat out since February 2014, I think, we started making it. And we've seen no wear at all yet. And based on that, we're giving the mat a life expectancy of 25 to 30 years. This is one tough dog right here. Now, the dimension-wise, each mat is 2 foot wide by 5 foot long. They're 1.5 inches thick, and they weigh approximately 75 pounds per mat. You know, I asked a customer of ours a couple of questions regarding these issues, and here's his response. Okay, this is Gail Foxworthy talking to all you out in America's Dairyland. I'm here at the Ritter Farm in Byron, Michigan, and I'm with Brad Ritter. He milks about 225 cows, free stalls, beds with sand. Brad, you had a competitive brand sand saver at one time, and that was in the steam up barn, if I remember right.
Yep.
And you ended up replacing that with our bedding saver, well, with another product, and that didn't work too good. Now you've got these, yes, the bedding saver mats. And so a couple of questions briefly. You got a ballpark idea where you're at on sand savings?
We actually ran this section of stalls at one time with no, previous to this we had a mattress system that was supposed to work in conjunction with sand, which it worked, but the maintenance was getting a little too outrageous. But this section we actually tore out and ran back as deep bedding, and immediately we saw at least double the sand usage, and then we reinstalled the mattresses and went back, and then with the additional maintenance costs from replacing the top covers about every 5 to 6 years, we found your product, and we are now down to the last quarter of this barn this spring will be transitioned over to the sand saver.
So ballpark, you thinking you're in the 50?
Cut in half. Cut in half.
Okay. Now, you got them in the dry cows? Or?
Yes, this here, once this quarter of this lactating group is done, every dry cow, pre-fresh, every mature cow will be on your product.
Okay. So right now the dry cows are not?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They already are.
Do you see them digging more than lactating cows?
No.
Not necessarily?
Nope.
Okay. All right. And then we're looking at 2 rows of free stalls here that you bedded Monday.
4 days ago.
4 days ago. And you're running about 15%?
Oh, 20%.
20% over?
We typically will put in an 18 stall run here, we'll use 1 6-foot sand shooter bucket for 7 days. That's it.
Say that again. And there's how many stalls to this bulkhead?
Yep, 18 stalls here. We will use a 1 6-foot wide sand shooter bucket of sand for 7 days. That's it.
Okay, so that's
what this got on Monday.
Is that a 2-yarder?
Oh no.
Not
between a yard and a half.
Yard and a half, okay. And you made a comment when we first walked in here that they do look pretty uniform for, you touch them up when you go get the cows for the, is that right?
Yep.
You use the big boot, no rake?
Yeah, a couple of my guys will grab a, kind of like a cement come along scraper deal. They'd rather do that. And all we do is knock the manure off the back curb. Okay. And very little leveling because we're running about 2 inches of sand, and you can do that with your boot. It doesn't pack in.
When we have our installation sheet shows that these are to go in level. Yeah. And so then the bed stays leveler. Cows getting up and down, no problem?
None.
None at all?
None.
And questions that I get asked a lot is how do you, everybody's concerned about the back here, leaky milk, urine. You've got sand below these.
Yep, compacted sand below them.
Okay.
They drain wonderful. That was one issue we had with the old recessed mattresses system
it wouldn't drain.
It drains so slow.
Oh,
and
okay.
These, our sand is stored outside, so we can take wet sand, and within 24 hours she's dried right out. After putting it.
Yeah, I'll be darned. Longevity, you got any gut feel for how long these will last?
No, long time. We haven't touched them. We've had some in now for what,
2014.
Okay. So
that's 6 years.
6 years. The best thing about them is we install them, we bury them in sand, and I don't want to see them again.
They're like field tile. They work 24/7.
Exactly.
In a way.
And the biggest thing is You go into so many barns and you've got ridged up sand underneath the dividers, dished out sand this way, and consistency.
Consistency.
We preach about consistency about everything else we do in the dairy industry and how cows love consistency. It's no different here.
Well, it does look pretty uniform down through there. The bedding saver, or BS mat, if you will, is important to dairy farmers because, number one, it saves time and it drives more revenue by reducing stall maintenance. Nobody wants to put a shovel in their hands anymore. You know that old saying, if it ain't easy, it won't get done. So less cost on sand purchases, save up to 50% sand usage. This saves wear and tear on man and machine. When it comes to emptying the lagoon, we see savings on diesel fuel, road time, less compaction to your soil. We feel it reduces erosion and potential manure runoff, which is very important, as you know. When sand-laden manure is spread out on the fields and it rains, the sand will take the path of least resistance. It has no body to it. And we get enhanced runoff. And that's not good. And that's more in the roly-poly sections, not in flat country. But so I've been doing a lot of thinking about this, and I'm about halfway through making a decision. I think I may be changing the name of this, or including the name Planet Saver Mat. And that may sound like a stretch to you, but if you take into account all the rules and regulations you have to comply with regarding the environment, the Planet Saver Mat helps you get ahead of the regulations game, and here's how. You've got to realize, and I know you do, but you've got to realize that sand is not a renewable natural resource. It's not like timber that can be harvested, replanted, and harvested again 30 years later. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, you can mechanically reclaim some sand. It's a huge investment. And the sand has a tendency to wear stuff out pretty fast. And for you guys with mechanical sand separators, etc., wouldn't it make sense 50% less sand going through that separator would extend the life of your investment? We all know sand's number one bedding preferred by cows, but as the demand for sand increases, some of these gravel pits are depleting. And it's a good idea to invest in the bedding saver / Planet Saver Mat and reduce your sand expenses and extend the life of your source of sand. Plus, it puts your farm in a positive environmental position while at the same time saving you money. That's a win-win. So once again, when you factor in 50% less sand-laden manure expenses to your dairy farm, 50% less sand being dug out of Mother Earth, 50% less scrap rubber going into our landfills, it makes it 100% better for every dairy farmer around the globe, and it's better for the environment. So to close, here's a couple of comments and video excerpts from a few of our customers. I'll read you a couple of comments here first. This gentleman's a good customer of ours. He is in Waunakee, Wisconsin. His name is Gary Endress Dairy, GNN Endress Dairy. He says, just the upkeep alone is a big savings because the bed cannot get dug out and it always stays level. We save labor by not having to do all the extra work maintaining the level in the sand beds. So that's important. And this gentleman here, he puts it right on the line. He says, this is Lyle Ott of Brillion, Wisconsin. He says, you buy half the sand, you haul half the sand. How much simpler can it get? So, here are some short clips from our customers answering some of the questions you might have. I'm with Sue Higgins out here in the new robot barn, and she couldn't get out of bed this morning as the rest of us, so she's out here now, and she just wanted to make a quick comment about the sand savers, the bedding saver mats, and she had said something about when the sand gets low.
It's still very smooth. The cows can lay on it. It is perfect for them. They don't have anything poking at them. They don't have any extra anything, any manure, it's all cleaned off, and it's nice and level for them.
So your point is you're not sacrificing cow comfort?
Nope, it's very comfortable.
Okay. Well, thanks for your time.
Yep.
Good morning, this is Gail Foxworthy again. I'm here at the Higgins Dairy in Grant, Michigan with Lloyd Higgins. Milks about 120 cows with 2 robots and beds with sand. And he'd been bedding with sand for a long time and tried a lot of different stuff. And how would you compare this to what you've had in the past, Lloyd?
Well, these new sand mats, we really like them. They're if the sand does get down a little bit, they're still nice and smooth. We've had old style ones in for 20 years now. I had one big dairyman say they wouldn't work because they'd raise the cell count because you can't clean the stalls out. We've had them in for 20 years. Our cell count has averaged under 100,000 in 12 out of the last 14 years. So,
well, that's amazing.
I guess that speaks for itself here, that we ain't, you don't have to clean them out, you just got to maintain the sand on top of them.
Okay.
And we save at least 50% sand.
Now, is that in the dairy barn or dry cow pre-fresh?
That's in both.
That's in both, okay.
And so.
Okay. Well, one last question. To a dairyman watching this video that beds with sand, what would you say to him that would make this investment worthwhile to him?
Well, just the sand savings alone and not putting it through all your equipment and everything, and the price of the sand, they'll pay for themselves real quick.
Okay.
And the new style here, this is about the 4th or 5th style that we've went through, and these here I think are going to be the best ones that last longest. One
last comment about the Higgins Dairy. Lloyd has his own sand pit, his own screen, his own trucks, so he's got his own sand. So I said, then if you have your own sand, why would you invest in these? And Lloyd said,
I don't like hauling the sand. It costs money to haul the sand in. It costs money to haul it back out in the manure spreader, and it wears on the equipment more.
Right.
So the price of the sand for me is not an issue. It's just savings all the way around.
What would you say about upkeep of the stall? I mean, they don't dig holes, so
upkeep,
less maintenance.
Maintenance. I put a little sand in with a sand slinger once a week, and that's all I do.
That's all you do. Okay. And you made a comment about the beds do stay level.
Yes, these new ones are staying very level. The old one's pretty good, but these here are staying the levelest and nicest of any of them.
All right. Well, once again, Lloyd, thanks for your time. This is Gail Foxworthy. I'm with Larry Udenhoven from Lorraine Dairy in De Pere, Wisconsin. We milk about 400, 350,
380 getting now.
380. And briefly, Larry's going to tell us he's had sand savers for
3 years.
3 years. And started out in the dry cow pen. Now they're into the close-up pen and in the milking barn too. So first question, approximate sand savings.
Across the board, roughly 35 to 40%.
35 to 40.
And more so with the dry cows.
Okay.
I would double that number with dry cows.
Second question, your best guess on longevity?
Long time. 3 years, nowhere. They're gonna last longer than I'm gonna.
Okay, fair enough. So overall, you're happy?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's.
It's an investment that you think is worthwhile.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is my 3rd purchase, I do believe. So.
Well, you have reordered like that, and you did have some mattresses in here, cellular mattresses that are failing.
Yeah.
Okay, and they've been in what?
Same age, roughly. They were put in first, but roughly within a month of the first.
So about 3 years they've lasted.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I thank you for your time, Larry, and good luck. Well, there you go. Nothing better than a happy customer. We believe these bedding products are top of the line for maintaining herd health, in creating the best environment for cow comfort and productivity. The less stress and injury to the cow, the better the production, and that is what we strive to offer the dairyman. So in closing, both our foam mat and our bedding saver / planet saver mats are proven cow comfort bedding solutions. If you have any questions or would like to discuss your bedding situation, please call me. I'd be happy to talk with you. And once again, I want to say thank you for attending Global Dairy Expo 2020, and I hope to see you sometime down the road.